now that we got the technical difficulties out the way, we got going this time. I'm getting there, guys. I'm working on it. I didn't go to school for aviation, which not aviation, audio visual stuff. But anyway, welcome back to episode 90 of the Death Taxes and Sports podcast. I'm excited to be bringing back my Gary. Can I finish my intro, please? Can I just finish?
Are we live? What just happened?
We're live. We're live now. Okay.
All right.
So let's try this again. Greetings. My name is Jeff Long. Welcome back to We're back for episode 90 of the Death Taxes and Sports podcast. Thank you, Gary. Man, we're here with Gary the Legend Johnson, the Queen of DTS, Marissa Tigney. That crown is coming. I promise, it's coming. they shipped it back. It's coming. And then we got Ben, Jam, and Holloway. Folks, how are y'all doing today?
Aviation.
I said aviation, audiovisual.
Same thing.
It's just been
tomato.
It's been a day. It's been a day. That's all I can say.
We're having fun now, and we're talking sports. That's all that matters.
Yes, exactly. And tonight we're going to be discussing the NBA Stanley Cup Finals. But the Panthers actually going to force another game, or has the cream rise to the top finally. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Some wacky transactions, and of course more sporting what ifs. And obviously with the Stanley Cup, Ben, look, we talked about enough stats about the teams. I think we've done a pretty good job last week highlighting the balance between the teams, the number of goals scored by the number of players on Las Vegas's team, talking about the defenders that have been lost on the Panther side. Tkachuk, he's been injured, so that's obviously their best player. I just think at the end of the day, the Vegas Knights have been the best team. They've won all the key matchups. I mean, there's really nothing much else to say, in my opinion, but just Vegas is just a clear better team, Ben.
Yeah, and their path was harder as well. I know, the Panthers went through the best regular season team ever, the Bruins, but I mostly stayed away from numbers here because, like we said, Vegas is just simply the better team. But in the West, it was actually really close as far as seeding goes. At the end of the season, Vegas had 111 points. Edmonton and Dallas had 108, 109. Those are two of the teams that they beat. And they were right behind them in the regular season, beat both of them in 6 games. Vegas is just, the better team. I know we're going to talk NBA, but there are a lot of similarities between the teams and the results that are happening in the NBA and the NHL, where underdog team has beaten a bunch of teams that technically were better than them, and now have finally met a team that is better than them that they can't beat.
And Vegas is up 2-0 right now after the first period, so they're about to close this out.
And I think Vegas was also, partially motivated by who wants to go to the Stanley Cup twice and lose. Like, I know their franchise is just 6 seasons in, but you don't want to be known as making it all the way and then losing. So I think they had a little bit extra motivation, and they're just a better team. I mean, sometimes sports is pretty simple. And in this case, and similar to the NBA, like, the better team is playing better and is winning. There's not much more to it.
That could be said.
Like Vegas is just a better team. They're deeper, more talented. Like, I don't know.
And they're taking advantage whenever they get a power play. Majority of the time, whenever they get a power play, they're scoring.
Yep.
I mean, that's what's happening.
And vice versa. Florida can't score on the power play.
Mm-mm.
So you got those two things happening. The better team, and they're playing better on special teams.
It's going to be a sad day for the state of Florida twice. It happened last night. It's going to happen tonight. And, both teams, what they'll have in common, both of these games, they'll wrap up in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Florida's still going to party regardless.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it's Miami. They're always going to be at a party. But no, I mean, it's just, we want to give love to hockey. We do. But I just think it's just one of those things, guys, where we could sit here and break it down as much as possible. But at the end of the day, the Florida Panthers, you had your run. You had a nice little run, but you're going to lose. And you know what? I'm happy that you're going to lose because you beat my Bruins. We should be in it.
And
you know what?
Bruins
Bruce
fan.
Cassidy, okay, he shouldn't have gotten fired from the Bruins, but you know what? Good for you, buddy. Florida Panthers, you're done. It's over. Goodbye. Go back to the beach. Done. Any other things we can talk about Stanley Cup and these horrific Florida Panthers? Yes, I'm biased. There, I kid. I said what I said.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that in sports, a lot of times happens in March Madness more often, but it also happens in the pro leagues where the underdog team makes a really, really good run, but doesn't finish it with a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Like the underdog team sometimes takes it all, but a lot of times that quote unquote Cinderella team doesn't win the championship.
But I will say though, Ben, that that with hockey though, the Cinderella team, it happens more often in hockey than it does in other sports, right? You think about you think about the Blackhawks when they were the AC several years ago. You think about not the Knights. When you think about
St. Louis
Blues. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that one, unfortunately. Except for that one. That one was that one doesn't count. That one was that we got cheated out that one. But outside of that one, though, all the other ones matter except for that one with the Blues when they beat the Bruins. But outside of that, I mean, hey, we'll see. But any other final thoughts on Stanley Cup? Because I really want to get to some of this NBA Finals recap because this matchup by the numbers, Denver played a absolutely horrific game from the numbers. They were 5 of 28 from three and only made 18% of their threes. They had how many turnovers? They had 15 total turnovers.
Yeah, 15.
And they shot 57% from the strip, from the charity strip. When you look at that, I mean, Denver was finding every way to give the game away to Miami, Marissa, and yeah. I mean, for Denver to still pull it out. I mean, the heart of a champion, finding other ways to win. Joker had 2 early fouls. Aaron Gordon had 2 early fouls, and they still found a way to win, Marissa.
The adjustments that were obviously made in the second half, they continue to try Miami tried to bully the ball underneath with Jokic and try to strip the ball. But what the difference was, what I saw from the first half to the second half, which led me to believe that the Nuggets was going to pull this off, is that Jokic actually got some help. So when they were stripping the ball for him, Gordon was there, Brown was there, Murray was there. Like there was so many. KCP was there. There were defenders, or on the offense were on the defenders, and actually had help going mostly into the fourth quarter. And I was like, gosh, they're actually, as crappy as they've been playing, they're actually going to pull this off because they finally figured out a way to play defense, to settle down, to cause Miami to get frustrated and the big-time shooters to get frustrated when they needed to be. I mean, I'm still, despite the Nuggets winning and celebrating all that horrible, horrific shot to like make this be some kind of a game by Kyle Lowry, I don't understand it, why he took that horrible shot. But Butler, if I'm thinking about the right one, with 25 seconds left when they're down by 3. No, that was beforehand. This was when Miami had, and I thought it was Kyle Lowry that had the shot, and then KCP rebounded it, and then they fouled him, and then pretty much it was a wrap.
So that was right before. Yep, we're talking two possessions back to back. You got the possession before. You are.
Yeah. And so with everything that Miami did, it's just them trying to hang around and then them taking the lead and then losing the lead, and it was just like one of those games where he's like, okay, it's gonna go down to the wire. Pretty much I was standing up the back end of the whole second half. I couldn't sit down because it was just so much that was going on and everything else. And what also frustrated me, and I hate using the terminology, the refs suck, but there was times that they held on to the whistles and there was times they were overblowing the whistle. I'm just like, let these guys play. You didn't allow, you weren't blowing the whistle when, Jimmy Butler went up in his foot, got Aaron Gordon in the junk, and then you called and then you replayed it and the call stood. I mean, kicked Aaron in his balls. I didn't understand the call and why it was, the still possession with the Miami Heat, but
I mean, Yeah, it's one of those things, Gary. It's just, I mean, at the end of the day, the coaching made it. I think it's safe to say, Gary, that Miami won the first half, Denver won the second half. But your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
And I also, Mercy, you made great points there, and you're right, Jeff. I'm looking at the box score from last night. I've said repeatedly about Jimmy Butler, you're not going to win games at this stage going like 5 through 20.
Mm-hmm.
He goes 5 for 18 last night. You had Bam Adebayo had a wonderful start, a wonderful first half, and was really one keeping them afloat. I believe he had 18 points in the first half. He finishes with 20 for the game on 9 and 20 shooting. Clearly, the Denver defense turned up and shut down Miami. They only scored 38 points in the second half to Denver's 50. And, just going down the line, Kevin Love, 1 for 4. Butler, 5 for 18. Adebayo, 9 for 20. Gabe Vincent, 3 for 13. Max Strus, 5 for 12. Kyle Lowry, 4 for 13. That's not going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a game that, like you said, Denver gave them chances to win. Denver played Miami's brand of basketball, which was grinded out, dirty, ugly. You look at this final score is 94-89. That feels like a score from like the mid-90s. Like it was one of those type of games. I think that's what really got me engaged in the second half. And I was basically like a humorist. I was standing up for most of it because that just reminded me of like a down and dirty 90s NBA game from literally any time. You could any two teams, that's what you were getting. And, for Denver, kudos to them. Kudos to Jokic, having the foul trouble, but still managing to drop 28 and 16. And look, he didn't have to have a triple-double every game to win the series. This is the second straight game without 10 assists or without double-digit assists. He had, I believe, 7 the last game. He had 4 the game before that, and he had 4 last night. But he was efficient. 28 points and 12 of 16 shooting. Like, that's when you're big. Like, it's one of those, everything that needed to go Denver's way ultimately went Denver's way. And, I believe, Jeff, you said gentlemen sweep in the series, and that's what it was.
I mean, safe to say they really miss Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben, it's, we talk about the different type of numbers, and the one thing that I've been impressed about Denver's run, I think I think we've talked about it in the past 2 seasons, Ben, where we have always questioned Denver's ability to win a championship because they were going to cave when it mattered the most. And when you think about Game 3, you think about Christian Braun when he had 15 key points in Game 3. You think about Bruce Brown in Game 4 when he made some of those key plays. And you think about Game 5 when KCP had that key steal. I just think an overall team effort, that's why they won the championship, Ben.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we talked about it before the series and even during the series. Miami, when you are the weaker team, which clearly roster to roster they got to hit threes. That was their only chance to make it a series and win some games. And the game that they won, they hit 17 threes. Last night, they hit 9 on 35 attempts. I mean, Denver wasn't any better, 5 for 28, but Miami's only chance, and Spoelstra, we love you, but sometimes you're not telling the truth. You said you're not winning by the 3-point line. You did. You needed to hit threes, and you didn't. And it's one of those things that, Denver, another criticism that came up in the past was their defense, and Jokic will never be a great defender. It will never happen. But he has gotten a lot better on defense, especially with, some steals and blocks. I think the statistic was Miami shot 35% for the series when guarded by Jokic, which that's really good. So I think that his defense, his effort, I think has improved. And what I noticed too is kind of funny is some of the fast breaks, Jokic is like, you know what? I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to steal it. Just make your layup. Be done with it. I'll get the ball out of the hoop and we'll go score on the other end. So it's just funny. Sometimes they'd be going on a fast break and Jokic is like, yeah, I don't want to follow you. I'm not going to block it. Just put it in. I'll score 3 on the other end and it'll cancel out. So I think that Denver was clearly the better team. And speaking of Jokic, I just have to give the numbers for his playoffs and the finals. Overall playoffs, 30, 13.5 rebounds a game, 9.5 assists per game. Finals, 30, 14 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game. First player ever, I'm sure all of you have seen this stat, to lead the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, what more do you want out of your superstar? And also, he's the best type of superstar where he never talks about himself, always talks about his teammates, always wants, his teammates to succeed, will always do what's best. And he's similar to, I'm not saying they're going to go on a San Antonio run because that was, incredible, but very similar to Tim Duncan. Just superstars who don't care who shines. They just want to win.
Yeah.
So, I think that the selfless attitude that he has, my favorite quote was, he was definitely, making fun out of himself as well, but I shared it with you guys. But he was like, yeah, I'm just happy we won so we can go home now.
He wants to get back to the farm.
That was just too funny. I'm just happy we won so we can go home.
Jeff, you got to share that. You said that those numbers that Magic Johnson had tweeted out. You got to share those numbers because I'm still in awe of just the finals alone.
Yeah, so he had Nikola Jokic had 600 points, 269 rebounds, and 190 assists in the playoffs. The first in the NBA history to lead the playoffs in all 3. That, I think, this kind of comes into the perfect. There's 2 things I just want to do with this. One, we'll transition to the Joker and Giannis. But the question that I want to ask about Miami, Marissa, in just 30 seconds a piece is, what does Miami need to do? This was a team that made it to 3 out of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals. Their last 5 games, they only were able to score 100 points 1 time. And this roster is horrifically flawed.
Mm-hmm.
But what does this team need to do? And I'm just curious, all 3 of you, then we'll get to the Joker and Giannis discussion here. What do they need to do to be able to get better scoring at the right time so they can actually beat Denver should they play them next year?
There needs to be some confidence pulled out of that team. I mean, yes, I understand that Tyler Hero was missing from there, but in Spanish, ¿Dónde está Caleb Martin? I mean, we saw him 1 time in these finals, and then just literally watching because I watched the games twice. If I'm able to watch it live, I'll watch him again. And there was times in the paint where he just looked like he was lost and was looking around and didn't have his body playing defense and just. I was just in shock of how easily he was being shot around by either Bruce Brown or, Jokic was taking everything to the paint, but he looked absolutely confused. And it was surprising to me that the same individual that we saw in this series before, that all of us were talking about how well he was doing, just didn't fully show up in these games. And it's a matter of fact where the Erik Spoelstra and this coaching team and the powers that be has to look at this current roster and realize who their stars are. You got 2 of them in their 30s. You got pretty much a young team. You got Udonis Haslem that is done at the age of 43. And they need to figure out with the small little rumblings that are happening. And I think we talked about this on the last time. I think, Gary, you brought it up. Is Damian Lillard going to be a thing? Or is he going to be for real in Portland? I mean, you're going to have to give up the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, a barn, a bushel of wheat, and everything else to bring them onto that team, which I don't see it happening. But they need to know who they are. And they need to get the right pieces in place and get some confident shooters that are going to make the key plays the whole game, and not just, not just only when it matters. The whole game matters. In order for you to be that leader, to be that team, it has to be visible. I just didn't see it, unfortunately, and it was relied on one person, and that was Butler. And as I said to you all on 2 shows prior to this, if Jimmy Butler could not deliver and was struggling to make shots and get open, who was going to be that person that was going to have his back? We didn't see a lot of that, and that is why right now they're getting ready to go to Cabo, and Denver's getting ready to plan for a parade on Thursday.
Amen. Ben, your thoughts, and then Gary, and then we'll get to some of this.
I'm saying you said 30 seconds. My fault on that.
That's all good. That's all good. We got plenty of time. Ben, your thoughts, and then Gary, we'll go to you, and then continue with the Giannis or Joker, who's going to have the better career. But Ben, go ahead.
So I was just looking at the list of like the last 11 to 12 champions, and I'm going to be very simple. Everyone has had a second star. Bam is great. It's not a second star. They need something else. They need better offense. So that's what I would say. What do they need? And as far as Lillard, they wouldn't take anything besides Bam and picks. And you're not exactly that much better with Lillard and Butler, even though they're more talented offensively. But I mean, you'd have to give up Bam and probably like
I would say you have to give up 2-3 draft, like 3 full years of draft picks.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see Miami have a pick for like 3 to 4 years if you're going to have him come on the team, and they're not going to do that.
They need another star. Bam's nice, but they need something else. Gary, to you, sir.
You both have made tremendous points. Completely accurate. They need another star. I got 2 words for that. Bradley Beal. He is dying a very slow death in Washington. He needs to go someplace else. And he's been the lone soldier out there. He was out there from the John Wall days. He's the last man standing in that era. And it's like, if Washington wants to do right by him, you trade him somewhere. Miami is a destination. I mean, I'd love for him to go to my Lakers, but I would say Miami is a solid destination for him. And he wouldn't necessarily need the ball. He's somebody that can get you 50, but doesn't need to do it. And I think that's who Miami needs. You need somebody that's going to complement Jimmy Butler. I know I had heard rumors of, Dame. The problem is that's 2 players that require the ball in their hands at all times. And how much is Jimmy Butler going to be willing to defer to Dame Lillard and vice versa? Like that. So I don't know how they fit in that scenario. I think, like I said, a Bradley Beal type is somebody that you need to go after. And, even though I question his long-term health, Paul George is somebody that can definitely fit in there, because at least Paul George is going to give you decent defense and length at that 3 position, so that you can still keep – I feel like you can still keep a Bam Adebayo and have a Paul George on your roster in that case.
Yeah, those are all fun things to talk about. Bradley Beal had a chance to leave, but he had that chance to make that 5 years, $250 million. So I mean, that's $50 million. I mean, that's a lot of money to turn. That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't blame him, but Bradley Beal would be interesting. I think with Miami, my philosophy is that they got lucky because a lot of the coaches didn't know how to be able to exploit them the way that Mike Malone did. And the reason why I say that is because you think about it, and again, and I want to say this very clearly, and it's not to take anything away from what Miami did, but you think about it, they did not play a fully healthy Milwaukee team. Then they played a Knicks team that, I mean, let's just be real, that's a very even matchup. The Knicks aren't, they're the Knicks. I mean, let's just be what it is, right? We don't need to talk about that too much. And then Boston finally got their ish together, and Miami almost gave up that 7-game, almost gave up a 3-0 lead, right? So I don't know. But anyway, Ben, I know you're excited about this. Giannis or Joker? So we want to talk about like the better entire career so far between Giannis and Joker? Is that where you want to go?
I was thinking like 15 years from now, let's say they're both retired, which they will be.
Okay.
Whose career will be better?
Okay,
Not
how
like
about this?
not to up to this date, just overall when they both retire, who's had a better career?
I want to add a little spin to it because I think this could be fun.
Okay.
Who's the best player right now between the two of them, or who's the better player right now, and
Mhm.
who's gonna and yeah, and to your point, who's 15 years from now, who's gonna have the better career? But you go ahead, Ben.
So I will say right now, I would take Jokic, and part of it is yes, we all know Giannis is Defensive Player of the Year. It's fantastic defensively, but we also know Giannis has two very obvious holes on offense: free throws and his jumper. Very inconsistent. Meanwhile, Jokic, I mean, we saw this whole playoffs. There is really no defense. Like he will figure it out. He's like a doctor, like a clinician, like surgically, he will figure it out. And I think that so I think right now Jokic, although obviously it's very close. And then overall, I'm going to say Jokic as well because of the team. I mean, the Nuggets, out of the 8 players that played serious minutes, 6 of them are 27 or younger. And so I just think team success definitely plays a role here. And I think that there's, even though Denver is not like a destination, I think similar to Contavious Caldwell Pope, they will get veterans who want to win, who don't need the ball, who don't like, and we said it earlier, Jokic is the perfect superstar. He doesn't care if he scores 50 or if he scores 15. He doesn't care. If you're open, you're going to get the ball. So I think they're going to not have any issue attracting people to play because of who he is and who Jamal Murray is. Jamal Murray is very selfless as well. And the two of them together, I mean, they complement. I mean, we all know, we don't have to say it. They complement each other perfectly. So I guess my answer is Jokic now and Jokic long term.
Ben?
That was Ben.
I'm sorry, Ben. Gary.
Ben,
Oh my
Ben
God.
2.0. All right.
Yeah.
Like, hold on,
I
let me
didn't
go
get
get the other one.
It's been a long day, guys.
All right,
Gary.
so Giannis. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, so the better player right now easily is Jokic. I think for the same reasons Ben just said, I think offensively his game is so simple yet so deadly. It's like I don't ever want to compare anything to the skyhook, but who's blocking that jump shot from 10 feet in? Even your big men, even your best big man can't block that. And it's just this weird soft bounce, and always like there's something so simple about his game that it's gonna age better than Giannis's, I think. And I think that's more like you said, the lack of a consistent jump shot, you know, Giannis playing above the rim is only going to last but so much longer versus Jokic, who has never played above the rim. So he's played at the rim and a little bit below it, but I wouldn't ever consider Jokic a high flyer by any stretch. But like I said, his game is just so simple, and it's almost like when you're playing 2K and you're playing against the computer and it's on like pro or rookie, and you're getting these triple doubles, and it looks easy, and that's because Jokic makes it look easy. And like you said, he's very selfless in the sense of, you know, he's happy for everybody else on his team winning a championship before he's happy about himself winning a championship. Mm-hmm. You can tell with him, like, basketball is just a part of his life, whereas with Giannis, basketball saved his life. So, you know, for me, I look at it in that aspect. And then career-wise, I've always looked at Dirk Nowitzki as the standard as far as international players because of the success that he's had. And I know people can throw Manu Ginobili in there, people can throw Tony Parker in there, but I also look at the Spurs system as something different than what we've ever dealt with and probably will ever deal with again. So if we're talking individual talents as somebody that can carry a franchise, you know, like I said, Dirk was kind of that benchmark for me. And I'm saying now, Jokic has passed Dirk. And for that reason, I would say Jokic would have the more fondly remembered career because of how he's played internationally.
Agreed. I mean, I don't even know what else to add except for I agree that Jokic will have the better career and that this will not be the Nuggets' only championship.
That's right.
I mean, listen,
they ain't going anywhere, and there's so much.
They're solid,
and they're young.
I mean, Joker's 28. Michael Porter Jr. is only 24.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was.
Aaron Gordon's 26.
Right, and we're forgetting that like Michael Porter had serious back issues and almost didn't play anymore. And this guy, they got him as a steal in 2018, the 14th pick. He was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. They got a steal. And if he can, and he could still get better. Like, that's the crazy thing. They have them locked up. They have all 4 of their guys locked up in extensions. All they got to do is just add some pieces here and there. This team can go on a hell of a run because Joker is he's just that important to his team. So it's going to be.
I think you see Jeff Green's 36. I think he's going to ride out into the sunset. You got Ish Smith, who's been now on his 13th or 14th team that finally got a ring.
Yeah,
I mean, consistency, just the patience of their whole entire careers being shopped around pretty much literally all over the league. I don't know if they keep him. You got Christian Braun, 22 years old, that just continues to win 3 straight high school championships and goes to Kansas and wins 1 and then comes here. Or not here, but it's at Denver and wins 1. So.
And with that, Marissa, he is the 7th player, I think, in NBA history. I was reading Christian Braun, however the hell you pronounce his last name, to be Braun to win a national title and an NBA title in back-to-back seasons. I think he's like 5th or 6th, something like that. Don't quote me on the number, but it was a very small number. Gary, I feel like you know that stat.
No, I don't. But I don't know who's done it, but I know it's like not many.
It's not a lot. The guy's a winner. Ben, any other kind of final? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Marissa, you talked about Jeff Green. I think just on a human level, I think I'm let's just say happy for him because of his serious heart surgery.
Yes.
Serious heart surgery.
I'm happy for him on that aspect,
So I just wanted to comment on that. But, Jeff, that's all I got, my friend.
It's just crazy. Jeff Green, I remember Jeff Green and Kevin Durant getting drafted at the same time for the Seattle Supersonics. Yeah.
Now Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's when you're getting up there in age. I'm getting retired. I'm getting my AARP card. I'm getting there.
Hey, I got one. I can get you one too.
Okay, we'll join the club. But listen, guys, this is going to be this NBA. I think this next year is going to be really exciting for NBA. I really have a good feeling about it. So this one is going to be really, really fun. But Ben, I have a feeling you can explain it better than me. So I'm going to let you explain it. I'll give you the hosting duties right now, and then I'm going to take my wand back. So go ahead.
Okay, so we are going to discuss some of the craziest and I like the word more wackiest transactions in sports history, all different sports, basically transactions that were like, why did this happen? Or didn't work out, or maybe worked out, just trades or free agent signings or even draft picks that, what was the team thinking? Just really kind of out there, wacky transactions that kind of stood out, and we're just going to kind of roll with it, just kind of keep on passing the ball to each other and see how long the conversation goes.
Yeah, no doubt. And so that means I start with one and then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, you can lead with one and then after that, pick on someone else. Be like, hey, Marissa, or whatever. Yeah.
So this one was really interesting, and I'm going to look back in April 23rd of 2009. The Kansas City Chiefs traded away Tony Gonzalez. So Atlanta received Tony Gonzalez, and Kansas City got Atlanta's second-round pick in 2010. To get that type of player of Tony Gonzalez, I mean, we all know Tony Gonzalez, and to only get a second-round pick in 2010, I mean, that's Ben. I just feel like you should get more. I don't know. That one.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top 5 tight end ever for sure. Most people would probably say top 3. I mean, Yeah, he was older, but to your point, like, I mean, the guy was so good. Maybe they waited too long. Who knows? And maybe it was actually because that's the one thing about the NFL trades, the value, it doesn't make any sense. Like Randy Moss got traded, I think, for like a 5th round pick. Like trades in the NFL, the compensation never seems equal. So that could be part of that. I mean, arguably getting a 2nd round pick for probably a 35-year-old at that time was actually good. Sorry, now I'm counter arguing your own point, but trades in the NFL, it just never seems like and we talked about it. 2 of the best players at their positions, DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook, are free agents.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL is just different. It's weird. So I get where you're going with that, but it's kind of like the transactions and kind of trade value in the NFL is just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, it just kind of, I don't know. Just I don't know why I did so well, but he's a Chief, so hey, the Chiefs lost player. But anyway, but go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, if you want to toss it to me, I actually, I guess you could say, got a little personal. The Cowboys, Herschel Walker trade of the century. We won't go over the entire trade because there was.
No, please do. Just
the entire trade. I didn't even write down the entire trade. I didn't even do the entire trade. I put that they got 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. That stood out the most, more than anything else. But
who were those first-round picks?
I'll help you out. They got in exchange for 5 players, a first-round selection, and 6 other draft choices. What the heck?
But Ben.
Okay, hold on. Here we go. The picks turned into Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Kevin Smith, and Darren Woodson. So, there. I mean, Darren Woodson's one of the best safeties ever.
Right.
You know, Emmitt Smith, like Maryland is a Hall of Famer. Like, yeah, that's definitely the most lopsided trade, regardless of any sport. Like,
okay.
You know what? Let's get Gary in here. Gary, go for it, buddy. What you got?
So, in 1980, the Golden State Warriors traded their they traded Robert Parrish and the 3rd overall pick to the Boston Celtics in exchange for the 1st pick. With that pick, they drafted Joe Barry Carroll, who, all fairness to Joe Barry Carroll, he put up decent numbers for his career. I believe. I'm looking up right now. He put up for a career a little under 18 points, a little under 8 rebounds, and like 1.5 blocks per game. Like those are decent numbers. And in any other scenario, that would be a good trade. Except the haul that Boston got back was Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the cornerstones to the Celtics run in the 1980s, and Golden State had Joe Barry Carroll.
Yep, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
So, Marissa, what about you?
Oh, let's go from 1980 to 1989. The Seattle Supersonics wasn't super with their wonderful choice. Yes, you know where I'm going with it. Olden Polynice, he's a superstar that everybody had jerseys on. Right? Wrong, absolutely wrong. Traded Scottie Pippen to the Bulls for Olden Polynice to go and a 2nd-round pick and the option to switch for 1st-round picks in 1989. How many of us right now on this stage own an Olden Polynice jersey? I'll wait. Crickets. All right. Scottie Pippen goes to the Bulls, and what happens? All right. Mm-hmm. And there it is.
So Marissa, are you saying that the Bulls got the better of that trade?
Oh, well, let me think about it real quick. How many of us can yeah.
Oh God, that's great.
Olden Polynice. Anybody that's watching right now, if you have an Olden Polynice jersey, please make sure that you let us know in the chat or tag one of us on Twitter on Debt, Taxes, and Sports Podcast with a picture of you rocking an Olden Polynice jersey, and then I'll have respect for you.
You know
but
what?
you can't have it ironed on. Like you have to have the actual jersey I don't know where you would get it from. If you like bought it on eBay, if anybody has it available, or Amazon back in their crate somewhere in the corner of their dusty closet.
I want it. I want the Olden Polynese jersey. Somebody point me in the direction of an Olden Polynese jersey.
Let's go.
Like Gary's wearing it to Christmas next year.
No, I have kicks.
Make sure it's not missing letters. That somebody made a bootleg one. It's Poly, POLYNICE. No.
I have a pair of kicks that are Seattle Sonics colors. I can match it. Please.
Beautiful.
Olden Instagram at Death Text Sports. Get in the DMs. Show me, please. Thank you.
Marissa, choose someone. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's get to. Do we want to get to the wacky transactions, or do we want to do one more free agent thing?
That's what we're doing right now, sir.
Well, no,
that's what we're doing.
I don't want to cut it out in case we do, because the sirens are going off here. I had to mute in between, so.
I got one. I got to go Ricky Williams. This is just absurd. Ricky Williams traded to the Saints. Mike Ditka was a coach and basically I read a little bit, demanded the ownership, I need Ricky Williams. I don't care what it takes. Okay, well, here's what it took. Give me like 15 seconds because it's going to take a little while.
I'll give you 18.5.
The first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and the first round and the third round the next year. So in 1999, the Saints had 0 draft picks because they traded 6 draft picks in that season and another 2 the following season for Ricky Williams. 8 draft picks, including 2 firsts and 2 third. Like 8 draft picks for one player. And Ricky Williams is great, but like that is a serious haul.
I mean, that's
the fact that you keep saying that's
yeah.
What do you say? What can you say? You can't. Yep.
Marissa,
I mean,
I
didn't realize that.
Marissa, I gotta sneak this in, man. You know I'm going where I'm going. Your Detroit Lions. 3 years in a row. Charles Rogers, Roy Williams, Mike Williams.
And what do they all have in common? And God rest Charles Rogers' soul. God rest his soul. Injuries, collarbone. Off the field issues.
There you go. Yeah.
I have one for you fellas. Well, let's go and travel to 1996, shall we? To the greatest player that we ever got to witness, and God rest his soul and his legacy. And that would be Kobe Bean Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Bean Bryant to the Los Angeles Lakers for Vlade Divac.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh Lord.
5 championships, not taking anything away from Vlade Divac, not at all. I mean, he had a decent career. But the unfortunate thing, and it was the anniversary of his death too, and the name just slipped me, because he would be, if he was still here, he'd be 59 years old. He played for Drazen Petrovic. He was the star on the rise for the New Jersey Nets, the then New Jersey Nets, that unfortunately was killed in a horrible automobile accident. Him and Vlade Divac never settled their unfortunate beef when during correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, I believe it was during wasn't the Olympics, it was some kind of international play, and the team that Petrovic was representing was showcasing their flag, and Divac snatched it, which pretty much was just a dishonorable disgrace, and they broke up a friendship that was so tight, and they never got to mend it, unfortunately, because
Marissa, I think it was the FIBA World.
The FIBA, that was it.
I think that's what it was. That was what it was.
And they never got to mend their friendship because he unfortunately, passed away from that. So. Oh, you did, Gary?
Yep. Okay.
Jeff, you want to step in here? What's
Yeah,
what's
I'm
a
gonna do this
transaction
one.
what's a transaction you got?
This one is obvious. In 2022, the Denver Broncos traded for Russell Wilson in a 2022 fourth-round draft pick. The Seahawks got Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, a 2022 first-rounder, 2022 second-rounder, 2022 fifth-rounder, 2023 first-rounder, and 2023 second-round pick. And I say that because we had arguably the worst offense. We averaged 16.9 points per game. That was for a whopping 31st. And with all of that, we won 5 wins.
5
and 12.
So are you gonna get to like 8 this year? Maybe Sean
you
Payton
know,
effect.
maybe-
Sean Payton effect. 3 wins.
Listen,
Maybe.
Look. I like what we have on paper. I'm not making any predictions. People ask me all the time. I ain't saying jack-ish. Just let me just see it on the field.
Well,
okay?
I will say this, Jeff. I think I said this to you privately as well. I'm not one of those who think Russell Wilson is just done. That he's off the cliff and he's never gonna I think he had a horrible season, partially due to coaching. We understand that. I just can't get to a point where his career is over. I'm not there. But some people are. Some people think he's just going to be crap the rest of his career.
I mean, maybe Jarrett Stidham. We signed Jarrett Stidham, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see. But anyone else have any others before we kind of get to sporting what ifs, and then we'll get to your grabs, Gary, to close off?
I'll go with John Gruden, traded from the Raiders after obviously the Tuck Rule game, traded to the Bucks. John Gruden traded to the Bucks in 2002 for first-round picks in 2002 and 2003, second-round picks in 2002, 2004, and the Bucks had to give the Raiders $8 million. Although, to be fair, the Bucks would do that trade 100 times out of 100, considering they got a Super Bowl. But still pretty heavy compensation for a coach.
Facts.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that one. Gary, you have another one you said?
This one I had to actually read, and I'm going to read from Bleacher Report because I'm still trying to piece this together in my head. Back in 1994, Hall of Famer Dave Winfield was in his 21st Major League season, and sitting at 42 years old, it was safe to say that even though he had accomplished great things, his career was about to wrap up. Still, it's strange to see Winfield's name attached to one of the most bizarre trades in MLB history when the Minnesota Twins sent him to the Cleveland Indians for a player to be named later. But that's not the weird part. What makes this strange is that due to the 94 strike, Winfield never played for the Indians that year, so the two teams had to settle the transaction somehow, which ended up being a $100 dinner, which the Cleveland executives had to pick up the tab. So one of the greatest hitters of the 1980s and early 90s was traded for a $100 dinner. Wow.
That's an insult. I thought the Tony Gonzalez thing was bad. Like right there, $100 dinner.
Traded for dinner.
I mean, what is there to say besides just to laugh? Like
that's pennies. That's pennies back to what these rookies have to go and take the team out to dinner for the NBA. We see all that all the time in the NFL when the rookies go and take their defense or offensive line out to dinner, and they got like $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 bill.
Those bills are thousands of dollars.
$100? Oh, wow.
I mean, it was 1994, so
yeah,
$100 then is probably about $600 or $700 now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I was never a math major to quote me on that. So,
damn, that's crazy. Nice. Let's get off with the sporting what ifs, and I'm gonna start with the round table. What if Drew Brees had passed his Dolphins physical?
Drew Brees, Dolphins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What if he passed that physical?
Mm-hmm.
Would Nick Saban be at? Would he be at Alabama? Would that have changed the rivalry between Crimson Tide and LSU programs? What about the Bill Belichick? What about the Tom Brady, Drew Brees rivalries? You just never know. Would Tom Brady have 6 championships? You just never know. If he had passed that physical, I generally do think that would have changed the outlook of that rivalry, and that would have changed the seismic shift of college football.
That's a good one. And then there would then there would be no Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
Exactly. And maybe Sean Payton wouldn't be with the Denver Broncos now. Who never knows? We'll see. Leading us to our 6 wins. Anyway, Marissa.
6 wins. Have faith in your team.
I just want to see it on the field. I'm not getting excited.
Well, speaking of your Denver Broncos, what if John Elway ended up going to the Colts and having a career with them? Would he have won 2 championships? Would he have won more? Would he have been a bust?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good one. Maybe the Colts wouldn't have left Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. That was my next point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe the Ravens wouldn't be the Ravens. Just saying.
Just saying.
Let's see. Good old Johnny Elway. Gary and then Ben. We'll keep this thing going for a little bit.
So here's one that is completely off the radar and random, but I feel like since we talked basketball and since the name was brought up before, what if Tim Duncan did not continue with basketball and pursued his original passion of swimming? What people don't remember is that he was on his way to being a participant in the 92 Summer Olympics in Barcelona in swimming. However, Hurricane Hugo destroyed the only pool that was available to him in the Virgin Islands in St. Croix, and he wasn't going into the ocean to swim with sharks. So he's turned to basketball, and folks, suffice to say, he's made the best choice because now he is arguably the greatest power forward of all time. Arguably.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one, and I'll give you another Tim Duncan. What if he took the money and went to Orlando? Because he was close as a free agent. He almost went to Orlando with it would have been was Shaq still there?
No, it would have been him, Grant Hill, and Tracy McGrady. Like the original.
Yep.
That would have been one of the first real big threes of our era.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's a championship. That's a championship up there.
Without
that's a championship. That's a championship.
Absolutely.
Here, I'm sorry. I'll just toss another what if. What if Grant Hill stayed healthy during his peak?
Mm-hmm.
Because he got hurt towards the end there in Detroit, and then I believe he played I think the total of one full NBA season in the course of 4 seasons in Orlando. What if? We were robbed of truly the guy that could have supplanted Michael Jordan because he was just that good, that talented. He already led the league, was leading vote getter in an All-Star game over Michael Jordan, which seems blasphemous now, but look at how good he was in 95, 96. It's he was as good as it got, but injuries, illness, and just really bad timing.
I think the number is 18 ankle surgeries.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's I think it's like 18. It's crazy.
One of them almost killed him too. So
yeah. By the way, that's another great book. I forget the title of it, but what Orlando with that ankle, I can't think of the name of the book, but just the amount of care and how it was mishandled for years, it's mind-blowing. Of course, I can't think of the name of the book, but it goes into really, really good detail on his injuries and how it was kind of mishandled, specifically in Orlando. But yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, it'd be help if I could think of the name of the book, but
it's all good. Thanks for you'll let us know in like an hour, Ben. That's your homework after this episode. Okay, that's your homework. Okay.
All right, I got one here. Yeah, I got one. The 7 seconds or less Suns, Mike D'Antoni, never got a chance to play for the NBA Finals, had a lot of success, but there is a really, really good chance if Robert Horry didn't hip check Steve Nash, that they could have been in the finals that year. And I forget, a while back I looked at the matchup. I think they would have won, but it was Robert Horry hip check Steve Nash, Boris Diaw, and Amari Stoudemire came off the bench, and the NBA followed the rule of the law directly and said, Diaw, Stoudemire suspended. That was for Game 5. The series was 2-2, and obviously we know the Spurs, won. And but yeah, that was the chance that was definitely their best chance to go to the NBA Finals, and the NBA showed absolutely no flexibility. Here's
None.
the rule. Here's the rule. Sorry, you're gone and you're gone. We don't care what stage of the game, playoffs it is. So that one, that's a good one for me.
2007. Gary, you got it. One more, and then get to your gripes, and then we will conclude here.
Okay, so the year is 2005. It's the NFL draft. What if the San Francisco 49ers, instead of taking Alex Smith, take Aaron Rodgers instead of letting him drop to 24?
I had that down too. That's a really good one. Really good one.
It could have been the continued tradition of the solid San Francisco quarterback. You go from Montana to Young. You had it from Young to what's his name?
Jeff Garcia.
Jeff Garcia, who was a serviceable quarterback, and from Jeff Garcia to Aaron Rodgers. Like that should have been the lineage, but no, they went Alex Smith, and then they had to wait years and years and years until. Oh yeah, they still don't really have a quarterback, do they?
Boom!
Mike, Brock Purdy, maybe. Trey Lance, maybe. But nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's a really good one, Gary, because also obviously that Rodgers has that can't beat the 49ers in the playoffs. Oh, yeah. He wouldn't have to beat him if he was on the team.
And plus, I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have had to wait that long had they start as a quarterback, to be the starting quarterback, as he did had to wait for Brett Favre.
I mean, drafted number 1 overall. You ain't sitting for 3-4 years.
Heck no. But Gary, go ahead with your gripes, boss.
So we mentioned Ish Smith earlier. That doesn't get we don't talk about that enough. I'm gonna run off the teams that he played for in his career.
Lord.
He was not drafted. He played at Wake Forest. He's played for Houston, Memphis, Golden State, Orlando, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington, Charlotte, Washington, and now the Denver Nuggets. I'm like, how bad was he that he had to jump from team to team to team like this? But God bless him, he got unlucky year 13, but he got it. He got his championship. And I feel like, more guys like that aren't talked about. Your Tony Massenbergs, your Jim Jacksons, your Joe Smiths, players that have gone the journeyman. Like they don't get the love they should be getting. Like Chucky Brown, Kevin Ollie, guys that have gone from team to team, and most of them have not been scrubs. They've just been good glue players, and this is where I feel Ish Smith has been. And it's always been the question with him, like, why hasn't he been able to stick with one franchise? But hell, maybe he found a home now. So I wanted to shout him out because I know you mentioned him earlier. I'm like, yo, it's perfect right. 13 seasons, 13 teams, but he gets his championship. And if he chooses to ride off in the sunset after that, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
I mean, that just shows to the grind, man. I don't think people realize how much of a grind it is to play for team after team after team after team. I mean, hey, I give him props. Give him props. But guys, good episode. Appreciate all y'all. It's been fun. We're gonna be having another episode tomorrow. Gary, I believe you'll be joining me on that one. We're gonna be talking episode 91, the state of New York sports. So if you look out for a couple specials, we're going to be doing just different specials in the states of different teams, different cities. And I think that's going to be a little bit of fun. So we're going to talk a little bit of New York Rangers as well, show them a little bit of love. But yes, this is it's been fun. Marissa, hopefully everything is good hopefully you don't get too many tornadoes at yonder. I saw that movie Twister from the mid-90s. It looks pretty bad. But Ben, good to see you, buddy. Gary the Legend Johnson, you guys take care. So thanks, everyone. Until next time, peace and love.
Congrats, Knights.